Our founding Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, was admitted to hospital with this condition in February 2015, and he passed away in the following month.
In April 2025, Top Gun star Val Kilmer died from it. If you never knew how dangerous pneumonia can be, it's time to join us today on
Everybody Knows.
Welcome to Everybody Knows. My name is Mike Kasem.
And I'm Catherine Robert, and today's topic is pneumonia, a condition which tends to be associated with seniors.
But our story later on will have you rethink this. Right now, let's bring on our expert thoracic surgeon, Dr. Aneez Ahmed.
Come on out, Doc. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Aneez, can you tell us exactly what pneumonia is?
The definition of pneumonia is basically infection of the lung because of inflammation in the air sacs, which causes accumulation of fluid, which then, if becomes infected, transforms into pus, and then that becomes a bad condition.
At what point does it become pneumonia? Like, because inflammation in the lungs, like, that's immediately pneumonia?
No. Inflammation is a sterile variety. It's just inflammation, irritation. Only when then transforms by being either infected by a bacteria or a virus or something else, and then it becomes a pneumonia. And if left untreated, can be life-threatening.
Is it very common in Singapore, pneumonia?
Surprisingly, yes. It is not a condition. It's a part of a disease process. So any infection left untreated can lead to this condition, unfortunately.
All right, well, we are going to be talking about the types of pneumonia next, and our guests are going to want in on the questions.
That's right, so let's bring on our celebrities, both actors and hosts, but one has an eye for flower arrangement and the other is an alumnus of the Noose. Can you tell which is which?
All right, welcome to the show, Alaric and Benjamin Tan.
Hello, welcome to the show, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys.
Finally.
Brought a friend.
Brought a friend. So, question, have either of you had pneumonia?
No, but I've known of people who do, and they tend to be older though.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a thing, right?
Pneumonia, older. What about you? Have you had pneumonia?
Not me personally, but my uncle had it like 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was kind of like a first-hand experience that I had.
Are we talking like in the 60s or?
In his 50s,
50s.
early
Wow.
50s.
That seems young. Dr. Aneez, for flu, it can be either viral or bacterial flu. Is it the same for pneumonia?
That's true. It's just an infection which can be happening because of a bacteria or a viral. To just answer your question, it happens in extremes of age. The older you are at higher risk, and the younger you are at higher risk as well. 50 years is middle age.
So is it
Okay.
uncommon?
It's uncommon in that group unless and until you have some underlying conditions.
Right.
You should understand in Singapore, our herd immunity is not the best because we live in a very clean environment.
Yeah.
But we all become Superman when we travel, and if you hit all the dirty spots, so-called, you could come back catching a bug which may sustain itself in the body and manifest as an infection.
The symptoms that present in pneumonia, it's like a flu. So how can you tell whether you've got pneumonia or the flu? I'm guessing it presents like the flu, does it?
Not a lot of differentiation between a pneumonia with a virus or a bacteria. Both of them can present with high fever, cough. But in the bacterial phase or bacterial variety, you can have more phlegm coming out. In the viral, it's usually dry. Headaches and body aches are mostly associated with viral pneumonias, whereas shortness of breath and chills and rigors more with the bacterial kind.
Is it true that when you're coughing up very yellowy phlegm, that means bacterial infection or no?
You're getting there.
Okay.
Phlegm is normally colorless, usually thin. And remember, cough is a normal response of a good functioning lung. So a very bad smoker would have stopped coughing. That means he's not good. He's going bad. He's lost his cough reflex.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So
interesting.
you should get that right. So cough reflex is your body trying to throw away the bad things.
So I can tell the uncle upstairs, the coughing every morning, he's in good shape.
Don't stop coughing. Don't stop coughing.
You should go and tell him to stop smoking.
So the viral one is the milder one, right? Viral pneumonia.
Don't go by the grades of how it happens, but I would say all pneumonias must be treated with equal respect and seriousness.
Okay.
So if left untreated, can be bad.
If I got viral pneumonia, can I buy over-the-counter medication? Is that enough?
No, I think you should go see a physician. First of
Okay.
all, you need to make the diagnosis of viral pneumonia.
So bacterial, it seems like that's better because you can treat it with antibiotics, right? And viral, is there much you can do about that?
There are. But usually viral infections are self-limiting. But viral, once it becomes a pneumonia, in a much more serious condition, it will require active intervention.
Okay.
And we have pulmonary physicians and ID physicians, infectious disease specialists who will treat you accordingly.
How does a doctor check for pneumonia?
You have a lot of investigations you start with. Basically, you start with a blood test, where we can tell you you have either what's your white cell count, tell you whether you're having an active infection. If they find an active infection, then they can do a culture to see if there are any bacteria floating around. Simple things like a chest X-ray can give you a very good example. Nowadays, you can do ultra low dose CT scans. And some of the CT scans are so low dose, they equal to about 5 X-rays. I think you should let your physician make the call, what is necessary. At home, you can start by checking off your temperature, putting on your pulse oximeter, which all of you have been given by the Singapore government, I guess, as gifts. And
What? Don't you?
So do you check all the time? Yes.
No.
And in the more severe cases, a physician may opt to do a bronchoscopy, which is putting a camera down your breathing tube and actively look for any collections in the lung and send it off for testing. Or grossly, if your pneumonia has developed fluid in the lungs. So I call it weeping lungs. When the lung is like infected, it starts to weep. So the fluid comes out of the lungs but sits in the cavity. And that can become infected. That's in more severe cases. So there, we'll send that fluid for testing.
Other than viral and bacterial, are there any other types of pneumonia?
There are pneumonia, as I said, is just an infection of the lung, can be caused by anything underlying. So a few years ago, tuberculosis was a big problem in Singapore. So you can have a tuberculosis pneumonia.
Are you contagious when you have pneumonia?
Not with bacterial. So usually I will say not with plain bacterial, you're not, because you don't go around coughing into people's faces with the thing. But with viral, yes, at the initial phases, you can have droplets coming out when you cough, and that droplets can be spread around.
When you hear of older people who are sick and may not recover, it's usually pneumonia that's the final straw.
Exactly. Your typical daily variety is the flu. That's it. You treat it, it goes away. In immunocompromised, older or younger, when the infection persists in the lung, then it starts leading into major complications. So this one you will see in more older people, people who cannot fight back, or in the middle-age group who are immunocompromised who cannot fight back. So this is where you get into trouble. So pneumonia is a consequence of persistent infection in the lung for a longer time.
Okay, we got a lot more to talk about, but it is time for a break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about treatment and who's most at risk of catching pneumonia. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Everybody Knows. Now, pneumonia is the topic today, and if you think that it only happens to people aged above 60, think again.
Our story profile today, well, he's young, he's fit, and he got pneumonia.
Hi, my name is Jarrett Lau. I'm 42 years old, and I suffered from pneumonia. I went to a company trip for the holidays in the Philippines, and what ended up happening is on the later part of the trip, I ended up getting that fever and not feeling too well. I had 2 days of extreme fever. The other symptoms that I had was a really, really bad cough, and my chest started getting very tight. It was definitely something, whether it was something I drank, I ate, or I touched. But again, as I mentioned, my wife and my best friend were with me doing the exact same things, and they didn't catch it. Perhaps it was something that I was worn down because I was just coming overseas and I wasn't sleeping as well, and it might have worn me down a little bit. So I came back and I thought I'd get better, and I eventually did not. So it escalated and ended up going to the hospital and to see the doctor. They were able to diagnose it pretty quickly. The first thing that they did was they put a little oxygen sensor on my finger, and the oxygen was so low. I think it averages between 95 and 99 typically, and I was below 80 at that point. And they said, you really got to get to the emergency room immediately. After testing, they were able to figure out that it was a bacterial-based pneumonia. I was very surprised that it was pneumonia. I thought it was just a really bad cold or a bad fever. I've never had anything in my life that's made me have to go to the hospital and not be able to really act on a day-to-day normally. So I was in the hospital in intensive care for 4 days. However, even after I got out of the hospital, I was on an oxygen machine and medicine for close to a month. It was a miserable time of my life. I had to watch everything I did to not exert too much energy to put me back into sickness at that point. So literally, it was having an oxygen machine, trying to get as much rest as possible. And I think the hardest thing for me was the fact that I wasn't able to go to the gym or work out as hard as I typically would, and it changed my day-to-day activities. So when I travel, which I do quite a bit, I'll wear a mask, always wash my hands, and I actually wear this little thing on my wrist, which allows me to be able to track both my oxygen, different aspects of my health. I also started doing proactive blood testing every 6 months or so, and the blood test will have different biomarkers that will indicate my general health levels. I'm definitely back to working out 7 days a week. I pretty much will lift 4 to 6 days. I will do yoga, I'll do running, I'll do high intensity workouts as well. So I'm back to it. At the end of the day, you just need to be proactive, try to be strong. Again, I measure my VO2 levels as well, which would help indicate, I guess, my ability to work out hard. I'm doing much better now. There's no oxygen machine. I'm able to work out. I'm able to live my daily life. However, you always got to have those precautionary aspects. When you have pneumonia, they say that it can come back a little bit easier than if you've never had it. So you want to be just proactive about making sure that you're watching your health, as well as any type of indicators that might state that you're, getting pneumonia again or getting sick.
Wow.
So did he have bacterial or viral?
Bacterial pneumonia. Because he is a fit guy, his recovery was, I shouldn't say this, but it's much faster. Imagine the same person who's not fit. His experience from the same amount of infection would have been much different.
Oh, wow.
And his recovery period would have been much longer.
How much longer?
Extended by a few months.
So what's the average duration to recover from pneumonia? And I assume viral and bacterial pneumonia has different recovery periods too.
If you have such a complicated scenario like how the gentleman had, and I say with all his fitness, he took a few weeks, about 3 to 6 weeks. If you are not in shape and if you have a very bad bacterial pneumonia with consequences, it can be weeks to months,
Right.
sometimes as long as 6 months.
Now,
Can you get pneumonia again?
Yeah. Because
Right.
he's tracking everything, so I feel like he's cautious.
Once you get pneumonia, it doesn't mean that you won't get pneumonia again.
Wow.
So that is why we tell our patients that they must keep themselves more fit, because you've already had an insult, and a repeat insult can have more exaggerated consequences because of it. So it's better to keep yourself fit, lung fit, I call it.
And you were saying that your uncle is having repeat.
Yes. So obviously my uncle is not leading a healthy lifestyle as like Jared. He used to be a heavy smoker and drinker as well, but he was admitted to the hospital 3 years ago.
But he stopped smoking and drinking
Yes,
many
for
years
a
ago.
long while.
Oh, okay, long
yeah,
time.
so 3 years ago, he said, he had difficulty breathing, exactly the same symptoms. So we rushed him to the hospital and they said, he had pneumonia. So he was admitted to ICU and he had those treatment going on, etc. And maybe 2 months later, he was fully recovered from it. But lo and behold, we were told that 4 months later, he had pneumonia again.
Wow.
So it's quite confusing for us as a family because for parents of our generation, that generation, they always mix pneumonia and TB together as one same,
Yeah, they confuse
condition.
it.
Until today, he's still in the nursing home.
He just can't go home.
Yeah, so he has never been home since 3 years ago.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is one grave example of a bacterial pneumonia gone wrong. And with a recurrent infection, once a patient is admitted in the ICU, he stays in the ICU, which is not the best environment in the world to live in. And you having a chance of having a recurrent infection goes up by nearly 20-30%. And once you have a recurrent infection, then you become even more susceptible. It drains your immune system, it drains everything in your body. You lose a lot of energy. So the word we use is deconditioning. So the patient becomes deconditioned. So to build everything back up and for him to come back, he needs to recuperate in a rehabilitation center. He's just basically getting himself back into form so that he can come back into the society.
But it's been 3 years. Is that possible, or?
That means he's had a very bad insult and he's taken that long to come out of his deconditioning.
So it's rehab of everything, I'm
Everything.
sure.
Diet, exercise at this point or no?
Everything. So you have dedicated what we call respiratory therapists and physiotherapists who know what to do in lung deconditioned patients. There are specialists for it. And should not forget that these patients also need some kind of a mental rehab because it takes a lot out of that.
We have a few images.
If you look in the middle, that's how a normal chest X-ray looks like. You have the heart in the middle, which is a lighter shadow, and the two lungs on either side, well expanded. The lungs look black on X-ray because it's got air inside, and the heart looks white because it's got blood inside.
Who are most likely to catch pneumonia?
Extremes of age. Definitely the very young and the very old. The people with chronic heart and lung disease. Immunocompromised individuals, people who work in the hospitalized long-term care residents like his uncle, and smokers, and I forgot to add vapors there.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about vaping because this is an epidemic. I mean, the kids love it.
Stop. Don't do it.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we've just heard some horror stories of what can happen to, I mean, you know, you were telling me off air a story of a young boy, and I've read stories about 17, 18-year-olds in the United States who are just getting the popcorn lung, and they feel good, so they feel like there's nothing happening to their lungs.
The effects of vaping. Go ahead. Tell us.
I think we have spoken about this before, and I don't feel tired speaking about it again. I think you're right. It's endemic, definitely. And it's the kind of fashion statement where nobody takes it seriously because it's not foul-smelling, it's not unfashionable, easily accessible, which it shouldn't be, and the consequences of which we'll probably see over the next 10 to 20 years. Unfortunately, our teens are being indulgent on it. And I am of the personal opinion that vapers tend to vape more than smokers tend to smoke. And because nowadays in Singapore, if you need to smoke, you need to find the zoo corner, right? So, which is not easily available everywhere. So, but for a vape, it doesn't matter. So you just go to the corner of your room or into the toilet and you just vape, and nobody knows when you come out that you vaped.
That's right.
So the effects of vaping are going to be having a serious consequence in the society in the years to come if we don't take active steps to stop it.
So what's the difference between smoking and vaping?
Simply put, we know what evil is there in your cigarette packet. It's a known, regulated, controlled evil. The problem with vaping is that you have all the fancy packets, we don't know where it is made, what it is filled with, what are the medications inside, and nowadays it's completely laced with cannabis as well.
The devil you know and the devil you don't.
Exactly. And we know this is all prohibited in Singapore, it's not allowed, but it doesn't mean that kids do not have access to it. And which worries me more, because as I was sharing off air with him, I had a 15-year-old who came to me with such a terribly compromised lung because of vaping. Yeah, I would say from a different country, not from here. Now, the status of the child is that the kid can only walk to the toilet and back. So it's such severely compromised lungs, we call it popcorn lungs.
At 15, and the kids who were smoking, I'm not trying to make an advocacy for cigarettes being okay. I'm just saying, like, that would have taken many more years to get to that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It also depends on your susceptibility as well.
So I was going to ask you that. Does vaping increase your susceptibility to pneumonia?
Definitely, because it makes your lungs susceptible to all kinds of infection. You don't know what the hell you're vaping. So you're just decreasing the local immunoenvironment in your lungs and thereby compromising the function of the lungs and thereby inviting trouble. That's all.
Let this be a warning, right? I mean, because this is some scary stuff.
It is indeed.
And, you know, look out for your kids. Make sure that they're not vaping. I mean, you can't be strong enough with the message, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just, I have a 5-year-old, and, you know, it's something I never even thought about, you know, as he gets, you know, older.
Yeah.
Got to watch out.
Have that chat. You know, we're heading for a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about prevention tips. And Alaric and Ben haven't been told about this, but they're going to be contestants on our pop quiz.
Welcome back to Everybody Knows, where we have thoracic surgeon Dr. Aneez taking us through the aspects of pneumonia.
I think we're at a very important bit, but you know what? How do we try and prevent pneumonia?
Don't smoke, don't vape. We start from there.
Yeah.
Basic preventive measure. Keep 2 kinds of exercise.
Okay.
So nowadays I tell people that just not good enough to do only your aerobic part of the exercise. You should also do your resistance exercise, especially if you're 50 years or older. Building up your muscle capacity actually improves the aerobic capacity of your body. And then you should have a healthy diet. And for people who travel, I would recommend that they should take their flu shots and flu jabs.
Okay.
If you're somebody who travels every month or once in 2 months, yeah, sure, you get exposed to different kind of environment and your immunity builds up. But if you're somebody's like, senior age, you're traveling once a year, you better take your jabs and then travel.
All right, guys, do you think you've been listening and understand what he's been talking about?
Alaric does
I think so.
Do you think so? Okay. Okay, well, we're going to test it. We've got true or false cards, and Doc, you are game master.
Right, guys, here we go. All right. First question. You are immune to pneumonia after you've had it once. True or false?
Well, I asked you that. I remember that
Yes.
answer.
Well done.
Yes, it's false. By the way, guys, getting it right means you get a badge. I love this one.
I believe in
It's a
you.
capybara. Okay, Doc, question number 2.
You can die from pneumonia. True or false?
I'm just going to go get one of these.
So confident.
I love your confidence.
Yeah. It is true,
It is
right?
true, right?
So you've all been listening.
Yeah. Okay, question number 3.
Antibiotics can cure all types of pneumonia.
Ooh. Hey, relax. I want to say false.
False. Put that back.
Back. My case.
Messed up. I meant false.
You
I knew
meant false.
the
Okay,
answer.
all right.
But, okay, no, fair enough.
Children can get pneumonia. True or false?
Under the age of 2, I know they're more susceptible.
Yeah, doctors said
Yeah,
extreme
infant.
ages, so
Children.
So
children are an extreme age.
Well done. Last question.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just one pneumococcal vaccine will last you for a lifetime.
Oh,
no.
Flu jabs have to be taken every year. So.
You're trying to be scientific,
False.
right?
Yeah.
Decided
Yes.
some of the most intelligent crowd.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Aneez, for coming on the show and taking time to answer all our questions on pneumonia.
Thank you so much for being on the show, guys. My name is Mike Kasem.
And I'm Catherine Robert, and thanks for watching. Everybody knows.